Alex Jones here reporting for Infowars.com. The report I'm about to break down is the story of our time. It is the coming super crisis that we've already begun to enter the edge of that will affect every man, woman, and child watching this report more than any other single set of events in your lifetime. Many a historian and philosopher have pointed out that there are times in history when more happens in a decade or even a year than happened in the previous 100. We are entering that quickening, but because of technological developments, it's going to be compounded and even more explosive. This story illustrates the crossroads, the choice we have. So please, if you care about liberty, if you care about your future, listen very carefully because this illustrates everything. DrudgeReport.com, covering the incredible filibuster of Rand Paul, comparing the government to the Hitlerian takeover, the drones, the NDAA, the secret arrest, the NATO command of our military, comparing it to an authoritarian takeover. That's what it is. But people historically don't recognize an authoritarian takeover when it's happening. It's afterwards that you recognize it. That's why it's been said that those that don't know history are doomed to repeat it. Now, going through this, Obama has authority to use drone strikes to kill Americans on U.S. soil. Now, remember, I've been covering this for the last decade, the buildup of domestic drone training, but it's accelerated the last 4 years or so. And you've seen Politico, you've seen Raw Story, you've seen Media Matters, an admitted front group of the White House, say that I'm a liar, none of this existed, even though it was in the FAA funding last year, early 2012, for $46 billion to launch 30,000 drones in America. That was in the Washington Post. But I got people concerned about it, and I said, look, this is an arms buildup against us. Why is this happening? What are they planning? Oh, Alex Jones is insane. There's no drones. And I'm going to show you those articles. Now, the good news here is because of Infowars.com and because of DrudgeReport.com, give credit where credit's due, we forced the drones, the huge armored vehicles, the Stryker vehicles, the billions of bullets in the last 2 years out into the open and forced a debate. And via that debate, we have forced the so-called liberals, who are really authoritarians, to engage in incredible lies that have blown up in their face. Remember Robert Gibbs? I'm going to show you where that video is posted on Infowars.com in a moment. Came out 2 weeks ago and said, look, I was ordered to deny a drone program that was on record to exist. This is like Wizard of Oz. It's the same with all of this. They said last year, when it was only 1 billion bullets, that, oh, Alex Jones is making it up. They bought 200,000 bullets. And they would show one line item out of the billion plus to make it look like I was lying, counting on you to not go to the Federal Register. And I know the media's always lied. In the last 50 years or so, they've gotten worse. But, I mean, this is like saying the sun didn't come up in the morning, or the Dallas Cowboys aren't owned by a guy from Oklahoma, Jerry Jones, and the Dallas Cowboys aren't based in Dallas, Texas. I mean, it's that over the top. And it's a psychological warfare tactic. And Gibbs has gone on to describe in articles that, well, it's just to put people off balance so that there can never be a real debate. Again, ladies and gentlemen, now it's over 2 billion bullets. And just in the last 2 days, Politico, Raw Story, Media Matters, and a bunch of others have come out, you can read it in this article, and have just said it doesn't exist, and that it was an internet rumor, an anonymous post. Ladies and gentlemen, the bullet story has even been in the AP and Reuters, but the White House organs are saying it doesn't exist. Now, continuing here, this is such an important article because if they'll lie about this while arming to the teeth and doing all this training, what is it, again, they're planning? Controlled economic implosion and the flipping from Homeland Security being for Al-Qaeda to American gun owners, conservatives, libertarians. And now all that's official. I'll show you articles on that front. I mean, think of the magnitude of this, and denying it will only let them take over. and stage events and blame it on us in false flags or provocateur events. Exposing it is our hope. And it's more than a hope. This is so outrageous. And there's now filibusters. It looks like we're starting to reach the beginning of a tipping point if you want it to be that tipping point. This is so incredibly important. I mean, look at this for those in denial. Washington Times, drones to hunt gun carriers in America for Homeland Security. That's weeks after we broke it in the Homeland Security training videos. Reuters, domestic drones are already reshaping U.S. crime fighting. I thought it didn't exist. I mean, Media Matters said it didn't. Here it is last year. Droning out the truth. And it just goes on to say Alex Jones, is making all this up. The drones aren't surveilling you, which on record they were. But they did a bait and switch where they covered, Cessnas with humans are surveilling you in this case. But yeah, there are drones. Here it was a year before where they were using drones to surveil farmers and ranchers and arrest them. Now, here's this article. Army manual outlines plan to kill rioters, demonstrators in America. And people say, that's Infowars.com. That's your own reporting. As if Infowars.com can't be trusted. Well, here's the PDF at army.mil. And you just click on that. And you go read the civilian disturbance ops and how they process your Social Security numbers, how they confiscate your guns. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, you better read this. You better find out the Army War College is saying that the Tea Party is going to link up with Al-Qaeda and attack America. I mean, anybody who is Tea Party knows that's ridiculous. That's like saying, Superman's going to join Lex Luthor, but they don't care. They're going to brand it. They're going to script it. This is the takeover. Because even though the Tea Party isn't perfect, they are still pro-sovereignty, anti-communist, and anti-tyranny on the surface. There's also a Media Matters article saying there's no FEMA Corps and there's no armored vehicles. They've bought thousands of these. We photographed them in Austin. Giant armored tanks, wheeled tanks that can take rocket attacks and mines. And then the FEMA Corps training, you can get into this division of Secure Corps, and they admit in there that they are training for, quote, warrant service and to aid the police. In fact, right up here I've got images of, and the New York Times article, where it shows the Boy Scouts training 3 years ago to, quote, take on disgruntled veterans. In fact, there's a photo of it from the New York Times right there. And that's under a division of FEMA Corps. But they just say it doesn't exist. Here's that New York Times article about it. Because when they're saying it's good, they'll admit it exists. But when we say it's bad, they go, no, it doesn't exist. It's a mind game. And it says 10 minutes into errant mayhem in the town near the Mexican border, a gunman, a disgruntled Iraq war veteran, has already taken two people out. And it goes on to talk about how they kill the veteran and confiscate the guns. That's New York Times. Former Obama press secretary was ordered to act as if drone program did not exist. You've got to go watch this video because it just says it all. And he's not having a mea culpa. He's flaunting in your face that all of this is going on. Here's a clip of Gibbs.
When I went through the process of becoming press secretary, one of the first things they told me was, you're not even to acknowledge the drone program. You're not even to discuss that it exists. Wow. And so I would get a question like that, and literally I couldn't tell you what Major asked, because once I figured out it was about the drone program, I realized I'm not supposed to talk about it. But here's what's inherently crazy about that proposition. You're being asked a question based on reporting of a program that exists. Right. So you're the official government spokesperson acting as if the entire program, pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. Right. When I went through the process of becoming press secretary, one of the first things they told me was...
Since you missed that first part, I replayed it. So there he is, talking about a program that had been on record to exist for at least 8 years before Obama even got in office. For about 7.5 years, and he's telling you it doesn't exist. Okay? Now, folks, if you like playing along with being a schmuck, if you like playing along with being conned, if you think you can choose your own reality and live in denial and believe their lies, you're crazy. The only way to choose your own reality is take destiny in your own hands and start admitting the reality they're creating. Remember, Karl Rove made similar statements to the New York Times about how they control reality now. It doesn't matter what the media says. They'll just make a new reality tomorrow and the media will regurgitate it. There it is, right-wing extremists, as deadly as Al-Qaeda threat. And that's from last year. Now they say it's the number one threat. See, they're segueing. NDAA, secret arrest and disappearance of Americans. Now they're saying they'll use drones. Oh, but Alex, you're a fearmonger. There's not a domestic takeover. The Army admits they're training for gun confiscation. Oh, and that's another area of denial. I shot a video before I left town a few days ago about gun confiscation has begun, where they're raiding people in states that have banned semi-autos or over 7-round mags. They're arresting veterans, throwing the book at them with felonies. That's gun confiscation. It's being done incrementally, but that's gun confiscation. And that's how they get your guns. That's how they engage in this type of activity. There's an article about it right there. And the New York Post and others have been reporting on it. The New York Daily News is very excited about it. It says, throw the book at these people. This is all going on. And the system just counts on you living in ignorance and buying into the fact that everything's okay. There is a system being built all around us of control. And the reason this is such a big story is that the globalists have overreached. This is so outrageous that if people just call them on their lies, it's over. It's game over. So I'm begging you to get this video, to get the articles you've seen here out to everyone you know. This is only the tip of the iceberg. And to awaken our society and our culture. Because this could be the tipping point to reignite liberty, Rand Paul's filibuster and things that are happening. If we just recognize the tyranny for what it is and rebuke it and say no to it and admit that the nightmare that has plagued our species over and over again of tyrants taking over is happening again. I'll be live on the radio around noon calling in when Aaron Dykes is filling in on the show today, so please spread the word. The good news is we've been able to push this out into the mainstream and make people cover it and make them deny it and show that they're lying tyrants. The fact that they're building up weapons against us is bad enough, and there's an arms race. The fact that they're covering it up and using military tactics of stonewalling while now saying domestic groups that say they're tyrants or terrorists shows you just how serious this is. This is not a movie. This is not a drill. This nightmare is going to take over if we don't wake up from it and say no. Alex Jones signing off for Infowars.com, PrisonPlanet.com, and PrisonPlanet.tv.